Hello, hello, hello. We are trying something new this evening with slightly different technology. So I can see that some of you are here. Please uh, say in the chat that you can hear me. Everything's going for you okay. Um, I'll get started actually with the webinar at about 5 minutes after the hour. Just want to make sure that everybody's, getting in and finding all of the, where to type in your questions and how to comment and so on and so forth. So, hello, everyone. I am Gav, hello. All good on YouTube. Yay! Super exciting. It has been a while since I have gone live on social sites, YouTube, Facebook, etc., etc., etc. So I'm excited to be doing this. Hello, Mystique. Lovely to see you. Lovely to have you. I'm super excited about this workshop because this is a philosophy or a way of life that I have been practicing for quite some time. And it's really exciting when I have the opportunity to share it with others because it has made such a huge difference in my life. And I am looking forward to hopefully it making a huge difference in yours as well. So, yay. Lovely to see you. Also, how are y'all tonight? And where are you signing in from? Like, where are you located in this gigantic world that we are in? I am in Raleigh, North Carolina. It is dark outside, and it is a whopping 78 degrees. So we are still kind of in summer weather here, even though we've had some cooler fall weather. Looks like technically things are going well. Fantastic. People are coming in. That's good. I have some lovely tea to get me through the evening. I know I'm going to be up past my bedtime tonight. And I had planned for it. I was also up past my bedtime last night. Hello from New York. New York City or New York State? I love New York State. It is gorgeous. I used to live in New York City. So it has a place in my heart. Western US. Love it out there. I don't get out there nearly often enough, being way on the East Coast. But the Western US has some really beautiful areas. Upstate New York, oh, gorgeous. Yeah, gorgeous up in upstate New York. Central Illinois with some rain. Oh, I know that space well. I was born in Iowa. So, yep, I know the Midwest. Hello from Arkansas. Arkansas. Oh, we went there a couple years back. Bentonville. We went to Bentonville to my partner is a cyclist and loves like mountain biking and gravel biking. And so, we went to Bentonville to do some of that. It's a charming little town. Maybe not so little. But for those of you who are not familiar with Bentonville, they have actually built mountain bike cycling trails throughout the entire town. Like, so where some places might have sidewalks, they also have mountain biking trails and obstacles and so on and so forth. It's a very cool place. Southeast Pennsylvania, Ryan. Ontario. Yes, I love Ontario. New Mexico. Oh, I got so excited about New Mexico, I almost swallowed my tea down the air hole. Love New Mexico. Really nice. Fun visits I've had there, for sure. Yay. So it's 7:54. We will be starting the actual workshop in about 10 minutes. I like to sign in early, make sure, technical stuff is working, give you all a chance to kind of get in, get your drinks, get your potty, get into the chat, make sure you're comfortable, have your note-taking things. South Carolina. Medical cannabis. Yeah, yeah. South Carolina. I don't get down there very often, but it has some really beautiful spots. It also has a lot of like tourist dump areas. So, I mean, that could probably be true of most places. Our southern neighbors there. So, come on in, those of y'all that are here. Say hello in the chat. It's good to see you. Good to have you here. I'm making sure I have everything I need to share this evening. Now, have any of you, Connecticut? Oh, I used to live in Connecticut. I lived in Hartford and went to school there for a while at University of Hartford. Woo! And I was just talking about Connecticut with someone yesterday that had gone up there. Oh, yes, a friend has recently traveled to Connecticut. Jacksonville, North Carolina. I've taught down there. Yeah. Been a while, though. That was before the pandemic. So I really enjoyed that. I had a great time. And I was just reminded the other day when I was down in Jacksonville and I was staying at an Airbnb and I had taught that day. And I had come in that day and I was going to be teaching the next day. And I'd gotten something to eat and I'd gone back to Airbnb and I was looking for something to watch on TV. And I ended up watching the documentary about Mr. Rogers. And so I'm in this Airbnb in Jacksonville, North Carolina, bawling, like my eyes out. It was crazy, but what an amazing documentary. Speaking of documentaries, I just recently watched the one on Netflix for Gene Wilder. Also beautiful, also made me cry. Sanford, woohoo, getting closer to my neck of the woods. Connecticut, the nutmeg. I did not know Connecticut was the nutmeg state. But then again, I was kind of young when I lived there. I wasn't paying attention to that sort of stuff all that much. Canada, woohoo! Love me some Canada. Ryan just got back from Canada. He was in Ontario. And last night we were talking, where were we talking? I don't remember how the topic came up, but I was saying how much I love Victoria Island in Canada and the fact that there is a rainforest on Victoria Island, BC, Canada, which is a lovely place to visit. 11th grade British literature teacher used to date Mr. Rogers. What? That's amazing. Awesome for your teacher, though, because wow, what a human, right? What is it? They talk about the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and then there's the four saints of kindness, and it's Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers and oh yeah, a couple of others. It was right there. I promise you this. But that's something that I think about a lot, is like the idea of how kindness can live on. Rev Rogers, a Presbyterian minister. So I am a reverend of the Universalist Church. So Arnold Palmer, like your British literature teacher used to get around, huh? Sancerre, lovely to see you. One of my locals from Raleigh. Hello. We will be getting started with the actual workshop in about 5 minutes. I am just doing the, hellos, come on in, get into the chat, get ready, get set, because once we dive into this workshop, you're going to want your technology like all set and good to go. You're going to want to be ready with your notes and ready to focus. So killing in Pittsburgh in her younger days. Yeah. I mean, if I could say that I had dated both Arnold Palmer and Mr. Rogers, like that, I would be pretty proud of myself, I think. Okay. Alice, that's a good question. I generally suggest taking notes. And the reason I suggest this is because over the years, I've done a lot of research into how the brain works and how, we improve and get better and learn and all of that. And we tend to learn better when we take notes, whatever those notes might look like, whatever that might look like for you. I'm actually going to adjust my camera and my angle here. So give me just 1 minute. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm going to pull this up a bit. There we go. I think that's actually going to end up being better overall. So I do suggest, having a notebook and a pen or something, because when we listen, we are learning with one part of our brain. When we write, we are using a different part of our brain. When you engage in the chat and you ask questions, that's like a third part of your brain. And the more of your brain that you can involve in things like this, the better, right? So yeah, and that's why usually when I send out like, the reminder messages or whatever, I'm saying things like, absolutely, bring your pens and your papers and be ready to learn, right? I think that that's definitely a good plan. So, okay. Make a note here. And I'm going to get started here in 3 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Woo! Also, as we're about to get started, where are you logging in from? I know some of you have already said, but those of you who are just joining us, where are you logging in from? And then the second question is this your first Nookie? Is this your first Nookie presentation? Have you seen me before? Have you hung out with me before? Where are you logging in from? And are you familiar with my presentations? So is this your first? Are you a Nookie virgin? Chicken kale sandwich. Damn it, Joe. That sounds really good. Live captioning. There will not be live captioning on this, but there will be a transcript posted along with the replays in the studio. Greater Portland, Oregon area. First Nookie class, but I've seen you on FetLife for quite a while. Well, welcome, Stephanie. Lovely to have you. Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited about this. First timer. Woo! Yay. Yay. Super excited. I love, my first timers. I love my, been here, done this, a million different times people. I love it all. So super excited to have you for sure. First time in a webinar. Excellent, Joy. Glad to have you. There we go. Okay. So, getting started. Feel like the new guy. Woo! There's nothing wrong with being the new guy either. Okay, everybody. Are you ready for Regret-Proof Love? This is why we're here. So in the chat, let me know that you're ready. Let me know you're excited. And let's hit this with a real bang. Lots of first timers here. We want to, one of the things that's really important to me is that y'all engage. Like, I love questions. I keep an eye on the chat as I'm going. I love having you here. The reason I present these live is because I love having you. I love having your questions. You bring a lot to this production, right? It's not just me up here yakking at you. It's me engaging with you. And y'all, saying, hey, I don't quite understand that. Can you ask that a different way or whatever? So yay. I see we got some more first timers. We've got some people who've know me for a while. So ready for Regret-Proof Love. Let's do this thing. So one of the things that's really important to understand is that regret-proof love isn't about like doing whatever and then, like slapping this no regret sticker on all your past bad choices, right? Like, and we all have done that, right? We've all done that. Like, oh, maybe I should regret that, but I'm just going to push that away and pretend it doesn't exist. Regret-proof love is about telling the truth, daring big, and making bold moves in your love, your sex, your romance, and your kink. And my goal with this workshop is to give you the tools to stop wasting time, stop swallowing your truth, and start building connections worth remembering and not regretting, right? Welcome, shenanigans. I love that. Welcome, shenanigans. I'm glad you're looking forward to this workshop. So if I were to ask you, and I'm going to ask you, what do you think the outcome of regret-proof love will be? Like, if you were to say, I am going to regret-proof my love, what do you expect the outcome of that would be? Just type in the chat. I absolutely would love to see, A, what you think the answer to that is, and B, that tells me also what you hope to build for yourself, right? Like, what are you hoping to get out of this workshop? What are you hoping to walk away with the tools for the seeds for in your life? Shadanigan says, feeling less guilt or shame about decisions I've made in relationships and heartbreak I've caused. Ooh, that's powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Damn it, Joe. Damn it, Joe. I love that. New perspective and courage. Oh, that's nice too. Yeah. New perspective and courage. I love that. More positive relationship and experience. Mm, yes, please. Absolutely. And that's all, like all of these things are things that you can get out of regret proof love. The one thing, less bad feelings, trauma, drama if it ends. Ooh, yes, less of all of that, please. The courage to stop being nice and express my needs without fear. Ooh, yeah, y'all are nailing this. Confidence to live fully in my honest truth, to be able to not have shame over the things I enjoy doing, no guilt over getting what I want or need. Mm, chef's kiss. And Alice, you use the word that I am going to be pulling from here, confidence. Um, knowing how to walk into every date, every scene, every relationship choice with the certainty that even if it ends tomorrow, you won't be kicking yourself later, right? Learning how to align your choices with your values, your desires, and your truth. Someone asked me in the studio, um, via private message, because they didn't want to post this where everyone could see. And so I posted it in the studio myself for them. Is it even possible to live with no regrets? Doesn't everyone have at least some? This entire workshop will hopefully be my answer to that. Absolutely. Joy says, feeling grateful for the experiences I've had and moving on due to growth and growing together and sometimes apart. I love that. Not shameful, just heartbroken. Aaron, I understand that. Stephanie says, I have no idea. The title of this class got my attention because I'm divorced. There you go. And see, I love that you were perfectly open and said, I'm just here. I'm open to whatever. I don't even know what I hope to get out of this. I love that. Wonderful. Deeper connections, less guilt for expressing my needs. Leaving it without feeling badly about how I advocated for myself or treated the other person, even if we aren't compatible. I love that. So I often like to start things like this with a sort of metaphor or, this is kind of like, so that, throughout the workshop, as we discuss, you kind of have a vision in your mind. So when I talk about regret proof love, I'm talking about training for a sport that you love, right? How you don't win every game, you won't win every relationship, but if you know you played full out, right, by your rules with nothing held back, you will leave the field, whether after one night or a long season, knowing you gave it everything you had, right? So, no regrets. Better long lasting memories, Angela says. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so before we dive into the how to of regret proofing your love life, let's get real about where a lot of us get stuck. Because you don't end up with regrets really by accident. You end up there by making the same choices on repeat. So, Stephanie said, you don't regret getting married. And I'm not, a lot of people, like, I don't regret getting married. I do regret some of the patterns that I played over and over and over again in my marriage that led to harm, right? So let's look at the stuff that keeps you trapped in drama, the stuff that keeps bringing you the meh sex, right? And keeps poking you at midnight or 3 a.m. or whatever with those what ifs, right? Versus what you actually want. So the old way, frustrations, these are the things that lead to regrets, right? Swallowing your truth. So when I talk about swallowing your truth, I'm talking about pretending that you're fine when you're not. Who hasn't done that? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? We've all done it, right? We've said, oh, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal. When inside we are falling apart, we are fuming, whatever. We've all done it. Faking orgasms. Anyone? Not as often, maybe, as you used to. Maybe not anymore. Biting your tongue instead of saying what you really need to say. Not and the way I was going to say it is instead of saying what you really want. But there are a lot of times when you really shouldn't say what you really want to say. But when you bite your tongue instead of saying what you need to say, then you've got the challenges, right? Number 2, settleitis. Sticking with partners or sex or relationships because it feels safer than being alone. Anyone? I've done it. Who hasn't done it? Who hasn't kept somebody in their life that didn't feel fuckballs fantastic because you didn't think that you could get better, or you didn't know what else was out there and you didn't want to be alone while you searched for it, right? Fear-driven choices lead to regret. Playing it small, avoiding risk, missing chances because failure or rejection. Were any of you in my Reject Me Baby workshop from a couple of months ago? Because we went over the whole like rejection, how to get rejected more often for dating and relationship success. So avoiding rejection, avoiding risk, and missing chances because failure or rejection feels scarier than the regret is coming down the line, right? Oh Lord, I'm Captain Save-A-Ho sometimes. Shenanigans. I have, and I kept repeating the same pattern. Yeah. Also, dragging your past where you have made boneheaded decisions, right? You've made young choices. You've made mistakes. Maybe sometimes you've even been the bad guy, but dragging that past forward, your old regrets, your bad relationships, your missed chances, and bringing them with you like your baggage and setting them down right next to the bed in your new relationship, right? These are things that humans tend to do without even thinking, sort of subconsciously. We do all of these things. We swallow our truth. We settle for less than we hope for. We allow fear to drive our choices. And we bring all of this trauma and baggage with us into our next relationships because we don't take the time to pause and release it. or do the work. Let's talk about doing the work or putting in the effort to let go of that stuff. Shell says, I've stayed too long at times thinking I didn't want to fail, not taking chances because of potential rejection. There you go. Stephanie says, there's a book called Rejection-Proof by Jia Zhang that's worth a look. Absolutely. And I actually reference him in one of the quotes that I use in the book that I'm working on rejection. It is an excellent book. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. So if all of those things are things we do naturally, just being human, what do we want instead to regret-proof our love? Quick run through. We're going to get much deeper into this as we go into the workshop, but radical honesty, right? Saying what you mean, asking for what you want, and building your connections rooted in that truth, which is deceptively simple. In fact, it's very simple, but not so easy, right? Bold choices. And this kind of goes along with the, rejection, getting rejected more often. Take risks in your love, your sex, your romance, and your kink that light you up instead of locking you down. Aligned decisions. Choosing your partner's experiences and boundaries to match your values and desires. And that seems like, well, duh, Nookie. Yeah. And so often we do not actually choose our partners, our experiences, and our boundaries to match our values and desires. We do them to survive, to get through something. Or on a whim. Oh, this person makes my goody bits tingle. I'm going to partner with them for the next 15 years. That's me. It's me. Hello. So in some ways, it's just like being more conscious, right? More intentional, more aware. And then freedom from all of that baggage, right? Letting go of past regrets and living fully in this moment. Confident, going back to that word that Alice brought up, confident that whatever happens, you won't look back wishing you had done this all differently. Alice Straws says, I'm taking this course so I can stop making the same mistakes in my current relationship. I definitely swallow my truth and people please because I fear being rejected or failing at the thing. Yes, absolutely. So out of those frustrations that we just talked about, what really hit home for you there? I'm curious about that. So in the chat, what really hit home for you when, I was talking about those frustrations and the experiences, the way that we have a tendency to, live our lives and on sort of an autopilot, surviving. I'm also going to pop into the chat link to my book, People Pleaser No More. Because now, before you click on that link, or you can click on that link, but before you buy it, know that People Pleaser No More is available in the studio. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the studio here in a few. But that is one of the books that I've written specifically about people pleasing. I also have a 30 Days to End People Pleasing workbook and journal. And in January, we'll be running for the new year a 30 days to end people pleasing cohort, right? To start that new year off with 30 days of little tasks that you can do to help build those self-ish, the opposite of people pleasing, self-ish muscles for yourself so that you set those boundaries better, you maintain those boundaries better, and you build more powerful relationships with others. So, before we move on, real quick, again, which of those frustrations that I was just talking about hit closest to home? What are you feeling most frustrated about when it comes to, the regrets that you've got in your life? Is it, you're not being radically honest, and instead you're doing what Alice is doing, and you're people pleasing your way through things, right? Or maybe you're settling a little too much, or maybe you're bringing the past into your current relationships. What is it that is really hitting the closest to home for you right now? And then what would it feel like to be past that? What would it feel like to fix that, to not have that as a challenge in your life? Now, you can put this into the chat. I hope you do. Or if you're sitting there and you're taking notes, your written notes, write it into your notes. Aaron says, I've been surviving since 2010 when I was DX'd with MS. Yes. The end of my people pleasing. Yeah. MS is, that's a challenge for sure. Kevin Intuitive. Kevin Intuitive. Love that. Worrying about the past too much and not being present in the now. That is a great way to kill your connections, isn't it? And while you're thinking about this, I'd like to tell you a little bit about why me, am teaching this workshop and who I am for those of you who don't really know me, right? Hi, I'm the Reverend Heather, also known as Nookie, licensed unicorn quester. My pronouns are she, her. I am a lifelong weirdo. I'm an overthinker. I am ADHD, RSD, EDD, you name it. Like, I have a very atypical brain and I've lived an atypical life. I have hitchhiked across the country. I have worked in a carnival. I've learned from seduction experts, hypnotists, tantra masters, and pickup artists online and off. I roamed New York City with street people for fun. I explored and taught alternative lifestyles. I have built and moderated adult communities. I'm kinky. I'm non-monogamous. And I mentor good-hearted humans like you to create the love, sex, romance, kink life you actually want. So why would you, especially those of you who are new to all of this, all of me, all of Curiouser, why would you trust me to talk to you about regret proofing your love life? Because I've lived it. I've screwed it up royally. I've fixed it, and I've taught it. I have been through the abusive marriage, the wrong relationships, the endless cycle of drama and regret. I have clawed my way out by learning, testing, and teaching everything I can about love, sex, romance, and kink. For over 15 years, I've been in the trenches, writing, teaching, and working with people who wanted more than that vanilla settling status quo, right? I have watched them transform when they stopped swallowing their truth, stopped settling, and started living with courage. And the key is, I don't just teach this stuff, I live it every single day. And the principles I'm about to teach are exactly what keep my own love life bold, adventurous, and regret-free. That's why me. Right? So in the chat, we've got Damn It Joe says, being afraid to fail, then playing it safe, only to end up regretting not taking the chance. If I can learn to accept failure, I can grow rather than plateau. Love that. I am not a Scorpio. I am a Virgo. I just had a birthday on August 30th. So there you go, Aaron. Ray, mwah, lovely to see you. And you see through bullshit better than anyone I have ever known. Thank you so much. For those of you who do not know, Ray is one of my one-on-one mentoring clients. It is lovely to have you here. And I'm so glad that you were here to watch this, Ray, because I think that there's a lot in here that, especially related to the conversation we had today. JT says, I think I feel an excessive need to try to be fair. Oh, I'm gonna come back and talk to that. I'm pretty direct, but I give things a lot of time and thought. I think when my first instincts were often right. So you overthink them, right? You come up with your gut feeling and then you talk yourself out of it. The key about fairness, let's talk a little bit about fairness real quick. We often think fairness is what people tell us it is. Like we end up defining fair in our own minds based on what other people have said is fair or unfair versus what is actually fair or real or true. And then also add in, life isn't fair, right? And we're adults, and I think we all know this. So we need to be compassionate, right? We need to be honest. We need to be kind. But fair is not always possible. And I think that that's important to understand. Alice Straw says, I want to feel hopeful and excited for the future, to have that shameless, I love that, shameless confidence to communicate my needs, wants effectively. Number one. Number two, if I can accept the possibility of failure, I can grow and learn to become the sub and the partner I want to be. I have autism, ADHD, RSD, and CPTSD. My brain is in constant fear and anxiety. Hello, sister. I do not have the CPTSD, although I would suspect that coming out of my marriage, I probably did. I just was not diagnosed. And RSD is definitely a factor, which is one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about the idea of rejection. And in fact, Ray and I today talked about rejection and what that means and what that looks like, and like how to change how we engage with people related to rejection. So I'm excited to continue this workshop. But before we keep going, I want to take just a minute to let you know something important, right? Everything I'm teaching tonight, this is just the start. So if you really, 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 really want to regret-proof your love life, you need support, tools, and if you can find it, a community that is walking the same path. That's why I created the studio. And I just posted the link in the chat. The studio is where this replay will live, along with any editorial stuff, any resources. Like, for example, with this replay, I will also post a link to download People Pleaser No More, right? This replay will live in the studio along with a ton of other workshops to help you actually live the no regrets lifestyle and build regret-proof love. And these are on topics like boundaries that stick, right? Navigating non-monogamy without the drama, having better sex conversations and better sex, and more. So if you're here tonight, keep this in the back of your mind. This right here, this workshop doesn't have to be a one and done, because the studio is a place to come back, to rewatch, to keep learning, and to connect with people who are also done. And I'll talk more about this at the end of the workshop. And starting tomorrow, there is a 30-day regret-proof program in the studio, starting in the studio, where each day you'll get one tiny little task to help you become more present and more aware and more bold and more regret-proof. So, yeah. And now we're going to shift back into tonight's focus. I'm going to talk about a couple of things from the chat, and then we're going to go into what exactly is regret-proof love. So Stephanie said, I don't know what all the acronyms are. What is RSD? Rejection sensitive dysphoria. So people with RSD are often neurospicy in other ways, ADHD, autistic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they have an overreactive reaction to rejection, and actually sense rejection in places where it doesn't even exist, or take it much harder than the average neurocommon person. So RSD, it can be quite debilitating. It goes along with social anxiety as well. There's a lot to it. And as with many neurological or neurospicy challenges that, let's face it, many of us face something, it can be changed. It can be modified. It can be smoothed out, right? JT says the anchoring effect. You are drawn towards the middle of views, right? Yeah, I try not to do that, but I try to wait for confirmation. Yeah. And so anchoring is really a key in how we do things, and understanding that that anchoring is not right or wrong. It's just a thing. So Shell says, I'm definitely navigating non-monogamy in my kink journey. It's had its highs and lows, but want to stay positive and have happy and healthy relationships. Absolutely. Aaron, have a wonderful evening. I'll look forward to, getting your thoughts on the replay. So, regret-proof love. Regret-proof love is simple. And you're gonna, if once you hear me in a workshop, probably just more than once, you're gonna hear simple but not easy, right? Regret-proof love is simple, not easy, but simple. It's about making choices, every choice, something you'll actually be proud of tomorrow, right? So choices rooted in honesty, in courage, in clarity. The kind of choices that lead to better sex, stronger boundaries, deeper love, and fewer middle of the night or way too early morning, ugh, why did I do that moments, right? And as we go, there's something I want to share with you that I put into every single book I write that is part of my greater philosophy. And that is, do what works. Because when it comes to any kind of relationship, what works for one person may not work for another. So I am a big old fan of do what works. This is one of my main mantras in life, as well as in my relationships. Take what works for you from this workshop and leave the rest. Or take that rest that doesn't work for you and use that to expand your understanding of what works for other people. I am not telling you what to do. I will almost never tell you what to do. I am giving you information to help you figure what works out for yourself and ultimately for the people in your life. Hello, Velma. And when you feel that pushback or that resistance to anything that I say, pause and ask yourself, is what I'm doing working? Because that matters. So I've got a list, and we're going to go through this together, of the exact steps to regret-proof your love life. But before I walk you through them, I'd like you to think about this. Which of these trip you up most often? Not saying what you really want to say or need to say? Pretending to be okay with sex or relationships? Playing it safe instead of daring big? Or maybe holding on to your old mistakes and regrets way, way past their expiration date? Take a second, pick your top one. And I'd like you, and you can put that in the chat if you'd like, or you can write it down in your notes, or you can just hold it in your mind as we go. Because when you know your sticking point, you'll know exactly where to start with all of this stuff. Shadanigan says, pretending to be okay in relationships I'm not happy with. So you don't regret proof by playing it safe or pretending mistakes don't matter. It's that simple. Gavstar says, pretending meh is sexy. Right? You regret proof by making bold, intentional choices you'll stand by, whether the connection lasts 5 minutes or forever. So, here's how. This is the meat and potatoes of this workshop. So get your pencils or your pens ready. Get your brain tuned in. Here is how. Number 1, tell the truth. Tell the truth. Every little cover up snowballs into something messy. Every one of them. Be honest with yourself, first and foremost, with yourself. Because if you're not being honest with yourself, it is very, very difficult to be honest with others. So be honest with yourself and with your partners. Because no regrets comes from truth. Even if it's hard, regrets come from hiding. Peggy said, repeat number 3 again, please. Playing it safe instead of daring big. So, no regrets comes from truth. Regrets come from hiding. Number 2, people pleasers. I'm talking to you. Stop pretending. You cannot fake your way into fantastical love great sex, or kink that actually works for you. It's not possible. Imitation is exhausting and it robs you of the real thing. Authenticity beats imitation every time. Shadanigan says, what if you feel guilty about your truth because it seems like you shouldn't feel that way? Ooh, so that's good. That's a good question. So humans have taken these feelings. What humans are pattern seeking creatures, right? And we take feelings and we say, "Oh, this feeling happens and therefore sometimes these awful things also happen that go along with it," right? So we take these feelings and we say, "These feelings are good and these feelings are bad," right? And I would say that feelings are information. And in my book, Take No Shit, which is all about building boundaries, and we actually have in the studio right now, we're on a week break. We've done 3 weeks of 8 in the Take No Shit, Build Better Boundaries workshop, which you can join if you join the studio for either a 6-month or a year subscription. But I talk about how feelings work. And feelings are these teeny tiny little things that happen, right? We get an emotion, which is how our body reacts to something. We label it as a feeling. We have thoughts about these feelings and yada, yada, yada. But the thing that's important to understand is that all of these come from information in our body. So all feelings are valid. The thoughts that you have or the meanings you attach to those feelings are not always. Does that help? Because if you think about it, you feeling something and being able to express, hey, I'm feeling this thing right now. I don't know why, but I feel safe enough to have this feeling with you and to talk about this feeling with you, even if I don't understand it. And maybe you can help me figure out where in my body, my brain, or my heart this data is coming from. Because feelings are really just your body, your mind, your heart, this, all of you saying, hey, there's something there. It could be good something, it could be bad something. It's like the dashboard on your car. It's like a flag on a play. If we're going back to that sports analogy, the metaphor that I gave you, it's like a flag on a play. It doesn't necessarily mean that things were wrong. It means we got to stop the game for a second and take a peek at what's going on, right? Because something is happening that is creating feelings. They are neither good nor bad. They are information. And when you start looking at your feelings as information, as data, and you start experiencing that with your partners and saying, hey, I have data to share with you, and they take it that way, you're in a whole different level of life. Feelings are never anything to be ashamed of. They are data that help you live your life more effectively. And hopefully that helps you. Alice Draws, would faking it apply to when you experience something good, but it didn't match your fantasy? I understand fantasy equals perfection and perfect doesn't exist, but my brain doesn't separate it from real. I think that there's a challenge there because my brain also does this like little and then it takes me a minute to get back to reality from like not even just the fantasy, but the plans I might have had at some point. Somebody says, "Oh, I'll be home around 1 p.m." and then like they don't get home at 1 and they don't get home at 1:30 and and my brain starts going fa, ah, right? I don't think that that's so much faking it unless you're trying to pretend like that doesn't affect you, right? Um and when fantasy doesn't match reality, or when reality doesn't match fantasy, more apropos, um the key there is, am I open to what reality is going to bring? Because I have personally found that in years and years of fantasy, in my, I'm going to call this before boundaries, right? BB. And then AB is after boundaries. And that's when I started practicing a no regrets lifestyle. But before boundaries, I fantasized a lot and my life never lived up to the fantasy. And after boundaries, I fantasize a lot less, and reality is so much better than my fantasies ever were because it's real and it's actual human connection. But to make that switch, I had to start living completely authentically myself and not people pleasing my way into situations that were never going to work for me. Does that help, Alice? JT says, I feel like a lot of feelings are based on data. The human face has something like hundreds of muscles in it. Sometimes someone gives us a weird feeling. I wonder how many trillions of times training to read expressions inform that impression we got that just feels like a feeling about that person. No. You say that's an imperfect example, but that is absolutely perfect. Again, humans are pattern-seeking creatures, right? So there was I shared this years ago. I saw this post from Tumblr where people were talking about how being abused in the past means that you sometimes react to somebody washing the dishes aggressively, right? And if you've never been abused, you don't know what it's like to feel attacked by the way somebody washes the dishes or whatever. And I was talking about survival, what we did, how we learned to survive versus thrival. And so, yes, feelings are based on data, but sometimes it's physical data. Sometimes feelings are, this is how my body is reacting to something. And sometimes, as you say, they are, the database in our head is like, I have seen that smirk before. It reminds me of the smirk from my abusive ex-husband, and therefore this person must be bad. Right? This is how feelings often happen. The feeling of remembrance and the slight fear and apprehension, that is valid. How we interpret it, therefore this person is bad, that is where we often go wrong, right? Instead of taking that feeling, holding it as data, and then comparing it to multiple sets of feelings that either support or disprove our conclusion. Does that make sense, JT? So, I've already talked about 1, tell the truth. 2, stop pretending. 3, dare big, or don't fear failure. The number one regret of the dying isn't what they failed at. It's what they never tried. Take the risk. Ask for the play. Admit the desire. Failure stings, rejection stings, but what if? That haunts. And one of my favorite mottos, and I have several, as those of you who are new to me will find out if you keep joining me for things like this. But one of my favorite mottos is win or fail spectacularly, right? So you never lose because you didn't say it with your whole chest. You never lose because you didn't try hard enough. You never lose because you didn't go all in, right? You win or you fail with everything you've got, right? Because then you can't regret it. You can't be like, well, I failed, but maybe if I had just tried harder. Number 4, tally up your values. And this is so important. Regrets happen when your choices don't line up with your values. So if you want love that lasts, sex that blows your mind and lights you up, romance like nothing you've ever had before, or kink that is beyond your fantasies, double check. Does this choice match who I am and what I want? Because I'm pretty sure that if you just take a moment and you think back to a choice, probably a recent one, that you've made, you can say, you know what? That does not match who I am and what I want. And that is exactly why I regret making that choice. Yeah. Number 5. And number 5 could have easily been number 1 because those of you who know me, you're going to hear the word boundaries out of my mouth like a million times. And those of you who don't know me, you're going to learn that you hear the word boundaries out of my mouth like a million times. Stand up for yourself. Boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Many of our regrets come from people pleasing and letting people walk all over us. Set the boundary. Enforce the boundary. Respect and care for yourself first. You don't have to love yourself. I'm not going to try to convince you that overnight, if you just learn to love yourself, that you can love others perfectly. No, I am not going to say that. But learn to respect yourself and take care of yourself first. And others will have to follow. They will have no choice because they will not be part of your life if they do not follow. Boundaries. And I cannot tell you, so when I started writing Reject Me, Baby, How and Why to Get Rejected More Often for Dating and Relationship Success, which I'm maybe 75%, 80% through with. I've gotten a little distracted. But when I started writing that book, one of the things I did is I put a call out on social media to interview people about rejection. I did the same thing when I wrote Take No Shit about boundaries. I did the same thing on a book that I've started about lies and lying in relationships. This is what I do. I interview people about their experiences. And when I was interviewing people about boundaries for Take No Shit, I asked people who were at the beginning of their journey. I talked to people who were in the middle of their journey. I talked to people who were, very solidly in the AB, after boundaries, part of their life. And every single one of those people said that once they learned to start setting and maintaining excellent, healthy, personal boundaries, the people that started showing up in their lives were radically different than the people that had showed up before. It's like leveling up in a video game where suddenly there are achievements and access to things that unlock that were invisible before. Understand that as you become a different person for yourself, you begin to attract different people for that self. Number 6, value your time. Time is your most precious asset. Don't waste it. Don't waste it on relationships. Don't waste it on one-sided sex. Don't waste it on energy vampires. Choose experiences and people that matter to spend your time on. And in the book and the workshop, Take No Shit, we talk about time and how to set boundaries around time. And in the book, I go very deep into the type of boundaries you can set around time and why you would want to, and how when you choose intentionally how you spend your time and who you spend it on, you show both yourself and the people in your life what really matters to you. And I hope that just hit you with a little oof. Because how we spend our time is huge. Number 7, experience more. The dying don't wish they'd just worked a few more hours, right? They wish they had lived more. They had experienced more. They had adventured more. Love deeply, play boldly, try new kinks, travel, explore, connect, collect memories, not regrets. Number 8, and I alluded to this earlier, take care of yourself. A healthy body, whatever that looks like and means to you, wherever you are. Aaron, you've got MS. What does the healthiest possible life you can have look like to you? Not in comparison to someone else, but to you, right? Clear mind, supported spirit. These make everything else possible. Self-care, whatever that looks like to you, is not optional. It is foundational to showing up in your own life. When we practice care on ourselves, we soothe our mind and our stresses and so on and so forth. When we make poor decisions, it is most often because we are stressed. People make poor decisions, which leads to stress, but more often than not, when we are stressed, that leads to poor decisions. Taking care of ourselves as best we can within the framework that we have been handed in this life sets the foundation for everything. I went through a bunch of surgeries. I healed very quickly, but the effects lingered. And I am still going through all of the coming back out of that. And it is hard. It is not easy. And I wish that it were easier. And I envy people who seem to have it easy, staying in shape and, feeling good and whatever. I envy people that. And yet, I do the best I can. Because when I do the best I can for me, I reduce my stress. I reduce my emotional and physical load. And that leaves me open to making better decisions that I will not regret. Does that make sense to y'all? Like, I am not saying that you have to be, an Olympian in order to, practice self-care. I'm saying that when you practice self-care in whatever tiny ways you can, you are building yourself into a person that can make better decisions. And that's super powerful. Number 9, let go of old regrets. Don't drag yesterday's lay into today's bed. Right? Learn to forgive yourself, make amends where you can, and then let it go. Let it go. Bye-bye. The past is the past. There is only so much we can do with it. We can't correct it. We can't fix it. We can often not even really learn from it beyond the basics, right? Especially when it's just become this pattern in our head that, like, let it go. Move forward. Do something else. Don't sleep with that person anymore. And I don't mean that literally, although maybe I do, depending on who some of you are sleeping with. But I mean, don't sleep with past you full of regrets and agonizing over decisions and so on and so forth. When that person crawls into your bed, push them out. Damn it, Joe says, that's my big hang up, carrying things well past their expiration, not letting things go and living in the past. And you can stop that. It won't be overnight and it won't be easy, but you can stop that. And you can start being more intentional and more present and more understanding. Number 10, do it with others. Friends, lovers, communities. Regret-proof living isn't a solo activity. Surround yourself with people who fuel you, who challenge you, and who love you. You, not this is the me I present myself in order to gain love, but you for real. And I'm going to add in a bonus, because often when I'm talking with people, they're going to be like, yeah, all of those things. I understand. And then, insert excuse or whatever here. So all of these things that I've talked about feel to many people like, yes, I ought to be doing those things, but they're blocked, right? So number 11, never, ever, ever do something in a relationship, in a friendship, in anything, in the hopes of gaining something in the future. This is powerful. In fact, if all you take away, I'm gonna restate this. If all you take away from this workshop is this one thing, and you learn from it and you live it, you're gonna get to regret-proof love and life and whatever. Whatever you are doing in a relationship, Do it because you want to do it now, not because you hope if you do this, the other person will respond a certain way in the future. I'm going to tell you what this means. So let's say you've been dating somebody for 6 months, and this person says to you, hey, I'm in a real pickle, and could I borrow, let's make it, like a ridiculous number. Let's make it $10,000, right? I'm in a real pickle. Could I borrow $10,000? Do not loan them that $10,000 with the hopes of getting it back, because that is a great way to lead yourself into regret. If you choose to give them that $10,000 because A, you can afford it, you can afford to lose $10,000, right? And B, because their value in your life over the last 6 months has been at least equal to $10,000, and you would be happy to be able to give them that money, then do it. But if you can only do that and not regret it in the hopes that A, they're going to pay you back, which is in the future, and B, that their personal value to you will continue to pay off that $10,000 and that it'll keep them around, then you have just made a choice you are highly likely to regret. And now I mean this whether it was $10,000 or $5, right? Whatever you do in your relationships, don't do it aiming towards a better feeling in the future or a specific result or whatever. Do it because right now, the value to you in doing that is obvious. Gav Star says, it's so hard to move forward, but asking myself, does this serve me? Or what will repeating this do for me has helped a lot. I love that. That's beautiful. Shenanigans. So the opposite of what to do when saving money for retirement. Yes, because when you're saving money for retirement, you are in control of the full life cycle there. I mean, obviously, you don't want to invest money that you can't afford to lose ever, right? But when you are saving money for retirement, when you are saving money, you are in control of that full cycle. When we're talking about regret proofing your relationships, there is another entire whole chaotic ass human being involved in this. And if you would regret it, if you handed over $10,000 and they said, thank you, and then you never heard from them again, don't hand them $10,000. You see what I'm saying? Like, if right now, if my partner said to me, I need $2,000 for something, and I gave him $2,000, and then I never saw him again, I would be sad, but I would never regret giving him that $2,000 because the 12 years plus that we have been through would absolutely have made that choice worth it. It was the right decision. My values align with that. I would give him just about anything because what he has meant to me, not what he's going to mean to me in the future. That makes sense? Peggy says, please repeat 3 and 4. I was listening so hard, I forgot to write them down. 3, dare big, don't fear failure. So that's the one where I say win or fail spectacularly. And then 4, tally up your values, because regrets happen when the choices you make don't line up with your values. So these 11 points, with 11 being the most critical, right? And you can apply that. I mean, I applied it to money because we all kind of understand money, right? Like that's kind of hard, and solid to us. But when you're thinking about your emotions and someone is, pushing you for sex, and you think to yourself, if I give them this sex that I'm not really feeling right now, but they are really feeling, and then tomorrow we break up or tomorrow they ghost me, will I still feel good about having had that sex? Will I have been having that sex for me? For my values? Will that sex be, 1, completely honest and truthful, 2, without pretending, 3, daring big and feeling good about it, 4, in alignment with my values, 5, within my boundaries, 6, a good use of my time, 7, an experience I want to have, 8, an act of self-care, 9, not based in old trauma or regrets, and 10, a connection with others, right? Which all leads to that one big 11. Does that work for you? And I'm going to give you some questions to ask yourself as well. Dr. Sai, wow, this is so awesome. A great seminar. Thank you. But all of these things that I've given you, they're not abstract ideas, right? These are practical moves you can start tonight to regret-proof your love, your sex, your romance, your kink, all of them, right? They are tools. And so we've covered a lot so far. Truth, boundaries, daring big, valuing your time, letting go, all of it. Out of everything that we have talked about so far, what has been the most useful to you? What is the one idea you can start using today, or maybe tomorrow, because it's late, to regret-proof your love life? Pop it into the chat. Or if you're taking notes, circle it, star it, highlight it, right? This is a starting point. And thinking about how that goes with your biggest challenge with regrets. How do they work together? Gonna wet my throat here. Right now I'm drinking a lovely pu'er tea that my girlfriend, my assistant, Celine, who I know some of you have interacted with when you've, texted or emailed Curiouser, because she's also my assistant. She got me this lovely pu'er for my birthday. Damn, that's good. Okay. Daring big and experiencing more, Kevin Intuitive says. I love that. Joy says, complete honesty with myself and others. Gavstar says, tell the truth and stop swallowing the truth. I have some communication needs I need to express. Yeah. I love that. I love this for y'all. This is super powerful. So let's talk about, Peggy says, my kid said earlier today, you fail 100% of the shots you don't take. I said, it's not what you failed at, it's what you didn't try. Yeah. Although you fail at 100% of the shots you didn't take. So that was Wayne Gretzky, and he was talking specifically about hockey, which is not always true in life, right? Because sometimes we win at things we never saw coming. We didn't prepare for, we didn't practice for, we didn't even try. And sometimes, no matter how much effort we put in, we can do everything right and things will still go wrong, especially when we're talking about humans, because again, humans are fucking chaos monkeys, right? And our brains can just go off the rails, and so can other people's, right? So, um, my cat is trying to get into my lap right now, and there's really not enough room for that. Alice Loves, I think you're the one that was talking about, matching fantasy up to reality. And that's really challenging because even we don't live up to our own fantasies, right? And so when our brains start trying to force reality to fit a fantasy, it harms all of us. And that doesn't necessarily stop our brains from starting the process, but the more that we learn to recognize it and redirect, um, the more authentic and intentional we can be. Peggy says, did we fail with everything we've got? Yeah. I like if you don't ask, the answer is always no. Or if you don't ask, you don't know that the answer was yes, right? You don't know if maybe they were too shy to ask. So I've got 10 questions for you, top 10 regret-proof questions. And I'm going to post this with the replay, so that, those of you who are in the studio, you have easy access to this. If you want these questions, shoot us a text message, and I or Celine will get back to you and just copy and paste these for you. And I'll actually copy and paste. I'll copy and paste the phone number right into the chat. Right there, toll free. Or you can email us at hello@curiouser.life. So, top 10 regret-proof questions. Because someone asked me, how do I know if a decision I'm making is something I'll regret later? So these are just, ask yourself these questions to ditch, the what if and live bolder in your love, sex, romance, and kink. 1, am I telling the whole truth or swallowing it? 2, does this choice align with my values or react to my fears? 3, if whatever this is ended tomorrow, would I still be proud I did it? 4, am I saying yes when I really mean no? 5, is this connection exciting or just meh, I'm settling? 6, am I protecting myself and my boundaries or letting them slide? 7, will future me thank me or curse me for this? Now, when I'm working with one-on-one clients, I talk a lot about future me. Poor Ray has had to deal with what would Ray in 5 years do? Will Ray in 5 years thank me or curse me for this? Right? That's an important one. And it's super powerful. And I don't have time to go into why it's super powerful right now, but it really, really is. 8, am I choosing this out of desire or out of guilt and obligation? 9, have I already wasted enough time here? 10, and this is a very simple one, but asking it can make a huge difference. Will this be a memory I savor and cherish, or a regret I drag around? Using these questions or questions like them before your next big date, play scene, big decision can help reduce regrets. Because it's not about never failing, right? It's about making the decisions in alignment with who you are and who you want to be moving forward into the future. Alice draws. I had to go back a bit because my video is lagging here, but I want to say this was a great workshop and I'm glad to have attended. I hope to take all the info into my life and work towards progress. Yay! So confidence itself is not built from never failing, right? It's built from living as close as possible to a life without regrets, where you are doing everything within your power to live genuinely and within your values. Shedanigan says, this was a great presentation. You are a smart, wise person. Thank you. So before you leave tonight, I love giving homework. Before you leave tonight, I want you to pick one area of your love life, sex, romance, kink, relationships, and make a single regret-proof decision. That means tell the truth you've been holding back. Say no to something that doesn't fit. Say yes to something that scares you in a good way. Or finally, let go of one old regret that has been hanging on too long. Write this down, commit to it. And before your head hits the pillow tomorrow night, because it's later tonight, and I, for one, am up past my bedtime, take the first step. Send the text, set the boundary, ask the question. Whatever it is, start. Because regret-proof love and regret-proof living aren't theories. They are actions. And the sooner you act, the sooner you live with zero regrets. Peggy, you had asked, repeat number 2. Does this choice align with my values or react to my fears? Okay. So before we wrap up, first, I want to thank you. Not just for showing up, but for showing up for you. You could have watched another video about what they, whatever gender, really want, or read some tired checklist of dating and relationship tips, but instead, you came here to look regret in the face and choose something better. And that says a lot about you, right? I want to help you keep that momentum going. The replay of Regret-Proof Love will live inside the studio, along with the audio summary, the after workshop challenge, and a whole library of other workshops designed to support your regret-proof lifestyle. We're talking better boundaries, hotter sex, navigating non-monogamy without the drama, deeper love, less settling, way less baggage. The studio is where you'll keep building confidence, connection, and courage, not just tonight, but every day moving forward. So if you're ready to stop living in what if and start creating love, sex, romance, and kink, you will never regret. This is where the real change happens. And I popped that link into the studio. Because confidence and no regrets isn't built in a single workshop. It's built in a lifestyle. And the studio is where you build it and where you support it. And where we support you. And right now it's $19 per month. But if you want to get in on the cohorts, like Take No Shit and the 30 Days to End People Pleasing that's going to happen in January and a bunch of others that we have, it's going to be, you're going to want to sign up for the 6 month or the 1 year. It's $77 for 6 months. It is $127 for 1 year, or $152 if you want a year for yourself and a year for a friend. Now, those are early bird prices, and they will go up once we've reached the right numbers. And I don't know when those are, when that will be, but there you have it. I do know that eventually prices will double. And anybody who locks in the price now will keep that forever, right? Every renewal will always be at the lower price. And everything that we've covered this evening is the start. And I do hope you're going to start. And I hope that you are really, really ready to build a regret-proof love for yourself. But you're going to need practice, right? You're going to need to really work on it. I know this because I have done this. And you're going to need feedback, and you're going to need a plan. Now, for some of you, you've got the people in your life who are going to help you do this. And that's fucking fantastic. Some of you are going to join the studio and you're going to DIY it, going through, replays of, I have over 600 hours of videos and education like this that I am in the process of editing and adding to the studio. Usually 1 or 2 new things go up every week. So, including more workshops like this, as we are recording them and so on. But this is also, for those of you who want a little bit more hand-holding, this is what I work on with my private clients as well, right? Don't do scripts, don't do hacks. We build actual relationship skills. We identify your regret patterns. We do what works together with real conversations, real situations, and real coaching to make sure that you don't stall out when things get hard. And if that sounds like a next step that you might be needing, I've put a link into the chat for a free 15-minute big ask consultation. We'll look at one big ask, one question that you bring related to regret or to anything love, sex, kink, and romance. No pressure, no hard sell. We either feel the fit or not. You still walk away with one next step customized to you based on our conversation. So this is where we start. And wherever you start, whether you're doing it on your own, whether you're going to jump right in and join the studio right now, which I hope you will, because I would love to have you there, especially for the next 30 days of regret-proof love prompts. If you're sitting there thinking, yeah, but I don't know if I'm really ready to do all this. I don't know if I can put in the work, if I can commit to it. You know what? That is exactly what the seeds of regret sounds like. You don't need to be ready. You just need to get out there and play as hard as you can, as best as you can, and live without regrets. Shell says, thank you for this workshop and the thoughts shared by you and everyone present. You're welcome, Shell. And thank you to every single one of you who have joined me, who have asked questions, who have commented, who have put some of your soul onto the screen. That kind of sharing is exactly why I love to go live and not just sit in front of a camera and record these all by myself in my living room with my cat trying to get on my lap. Velma, wonderful workshop. Thank you, Nookie. You are very, very welcome, Velma. All of you are welcome. And again, please, thank you for joining me, but also please give yourselves a round of applause for doing this for you. You just spent an hour and a half doing something for you. You just made, hopefully, a decision you won't regret. an investment in your personal future, in your love, in your sex, in your romance, and in your kink. And I love that for you. And I am super excited to hear from you and to share this with you moving forward in whatever ways. So thank you again to each and every one of you.